closer and curiouser.
Hello everyone, so welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my channel if this is your first time. If this is your first time, please have a little look around. Look under the crevices, at the back of the sofa, maybe in the pockets, and see what kind of thing you can find in there. Ooh. And hopefully you like some of the other videos. My name's Gareth, this is Book Songs and Other Magic, and I'm doing a response video to a video that MJ from Reading This Life did. So MJ's a good friend of mine, and I've come in from being out all day. It's been a long day, but I immediately had a look at her video that she just put up, because that's what you do. Have a look at your friend's video. And MJ put up a kind of, this is the state of my Read What Your Own challenge, and saying thanks to all the people that have encouraged her, and talking about how doing it as a group with Crystal, Ollie and Greg helped her to enjoy it more. And I just thought it might be quite cool to talk about my experience with the Read What Your Own challenges in their various forms, and talk about why I've enjoyed the fact that I've finished mine this time, and what I've been reading, and some of the things I've bought since I've finished my Read What Your Own challenge. So, a little bit of context. This is the third time I've done it, and each time it's been quite different. And the first one I did it, the second one I abandoned it, and the third time I finished it. But I've never done what these guys are doing, which is the 100 book challenge. But the principle of the idea is that lots of us have got lots of unread books. And if you've been watching the library tour videos, which you can continue on my channel, there is tons and tons of unread books I have that I can't wait to read, but clearly I have to wait to read because I've only got so much time in my day, and I can't read everything at once. So I'm very much looking forward to reading them, but I have got too many books, and I have unhauled over 300 books last year. So that was to me, that's part of the same balance. Whereas if you've got lots of unread books, and you've got lots of books, you've got, not that much room, or at least not as much room as you'd like to have for the amount of books you'd like to have, then do you need all the books you've got? And I did get rid of more than 300 books with this big unhaul I did, and I documented it on various videos. So I did that, and I did this third attempt at the Read What Your Own challenge. So rewind a couple of years ago, and Ollie decided to do the 100 book challenge, and he called it the 100 book challenge at the time. And when he did it, a couple of other people joined in. I think Greg was one of the first people to join in that first time. And after he'd finished it, I was inspired to do like a low-key version of it. So my version of it for that at that point. And at this point, it was only a 100 book challenge. I don't think anyone had done any variations of it. But I thought, well, I like the idea of it, but I can't do 100 books. So I did a 30 book challenge. And I did 2 videos which documented me reading those 30 books. So once I'd done 15 books, I did a video about my progress, and I did another one that was like the 30 book challenge part 2. And that was a couple of years ago. And I did it. And I found it, and I did say in a later video that I found it quite painful, and I kept just looking for really short books, and I was like obsessed with finishing this challenge. So it wasn't a great experience for me, but I still love the principle, and I still think it's interesting to try and think of ways to deal with the fact that you might have too many books. So anyway, that one was a success, but it wasn't really success emotionally, but I did finish it, but I didn't really enjoy it. I mean, literally down the road, I've got, at the time, a couple of years ago, the shop down the road was selling books for 20p each. 20p each. So I like the idea of nipping down, and if I found something, it would literally cost nothing, and I'd just get this excitement of having this book. And I've got a few Stephen King books down the road for 20p. That's ridiculous. Really good condition. So to stop myself from doing that was really painful, because I thought it's just a very nice bit of harmless fun, and you never know, you get this insane bargain. Now, a couple of years later, they're still immensely cheap in that charity shop, but they're like 3, 4 a pound or 50p each, which is still really good. And I'd like to have the opportunity to nip down there and the weekend, just quickly nip down. It's literally a 5-minute walk down the end of my road, have a look, come back again. So it doesn't take too much in the day. It doesn't cost very much. And if I'm only buying one book, it's not like that's adding to the problem much. So that's the problem with me desperately trying to get rid of this challenge that first time a couple of years ago. So the second time, by the time that there was a second version of it, it had become a new thing called Read What Your Own Challenge, and it had started getting a bit nuanced, and there was this idea of different tiers: 25 books, 50 books, 75 books, 100 books, and I chose the less ambitious one, which is 25 books one, and I got to about 18 books, and I abandoned it. And I did on my channel, if you have a look, there's a video with a thumbnail just says fail across it, and it's called something like, well, I was happy to fail, because again, I wasn't enjoying it. So when it got to this third time, this current Read What Your Own Challenge, there was lots of people picking numbers, and then someone, it was either Greg or Crystal in their introductory live stream, said you could do it a different way. You could just give yourself a time limit. And I thought, well, I might be able to do that, and I might not it might not be so torturous, if I just think, okay, I'm not going to buy books for a couple of months, which was what I did, and I decided to wait until the end of the year before I bought another book. So it was kind of like stalling the potential excess of buying things en masse, and I succeeded, and I didn't buy anything until after Christmas, and I bought some things since Christmas. And I want to talk to you about a few of those and why it's been so lovely to find these things and actually, once I found them, go, well, I'll have it. So first, I'll tell you, because it's obviously the Read What You Own challenge is also encouraging you to read what you own. So it's not about just not buying. It's also about appreciating what you have and reading what you have. And I have been reading what I have. It's kind of what I've been reading since doing the challenge has been a mixture of both. So obviously, since I started that challenge for those couple of months, I just read what I owned. But since then, it's been a mixture of both anyway. So I do think in that sense, I'm keeping the spirit of that alive as much as I can while enjoying the occasional purchase. So the last thing I finished was Heart of a Dog, which you're going to see a video of that coming up soon because it's part of the Banned Books project. But I've had this book for quite a while. So well before I started the challenge. I can't remember when I bought it, but I definitely bought it a long time ago. So that's something that I owned. So that was really cool reading that. And I'm currently reading 3 books now at the moment. So these 3 books I'm reading. This one I've had for a long time, and it was something I started reading in last year's Historathon, and then I didn't get very far, so I'm starting it again now. And I'm getting more progress with it, to be fair. So that's all good. So Mary Beard's SPQR is another book that I own, that I've been going through and enjoying. So, and that takes me a little bit longer, but that's something that I actually own. I'm reading Finders Keepers for the All About Holly project, and I should finish that in the next few days, I think. And I've had this for a long time, and it's really nice reading it. I'm really enjoying it. But again, it's something I own and have owned, and then this is, and on the other side, because I'm trying to do both, as I said, this is something I bought for the Historathon, although it's created some controversy about whether or not it's in the Historathon or not. But the Rise and Fall of the Dinosaurs is something I bought for the Historathon this year. So that was really nice getting that. And that was from money I got for Waterstones. So I bought that in Waterstones as a result of that. Again, a mixture of both. But I've really enjoyed the fact that I'm reading both, and I'm reading what I want, and I'm enjoying it, and I'm not frustrated that there's something I want to read that I can't read. And as far as the purchases I've made, there's been some really cool things I've got. So I've got this one for the Historathon, Barbarians by Terry Jones. So I'm looking forward to reading this. I'm going to read this once I've read SPQR. And I love Terry Jones, and I'm really interested to read this. So that's something I've bought for the event, and I found it on eBay for about £3. It's cost me about £3. Quite good condition. I think that sort of part of the not quite good condition, I think that's my fault. I think I put it in my work bag in a careless way, so I need to solve that. But it was good condition when I had it. So there's actually no, that bit wasn't like that. Yeah, actually, there's a kind of a fold in the front that was how it was when I got it. Anyway, it was only a few quid, so that was cool. And I also bought the Perks of Being a Wallflower for the Banned Books Challenge. So again, this was effectively £3.50 because it was 2 for £7 in HMV. And I just received this, which is again something I bought for the Banned Books Challenge, and I really like the idea. The reason why I bought this, it wasn't very much money. Again, I only managed to get it for a few quid, and it looks like perfect condition, which is cool. But I like the idea of a banned book that's been repeatedly banned in America, all across America. That's a book by a Native American author based on a Native American experience. So it is, I think it's YA, so it might not be a particularly heavy read, but it's clearly controversial because it's been banned like mad, and it could be literally because it's a Native American perspective. I'm not sure. So I was really keen to add this to my banned books project because it's a perspective that people don't talk about enough. So that was really cool. So again, not very much money, but something that I really want to include in the challenge. And before I talk about these two, I just mentioned that there was that big Chester Himes collection that I saw, batch of books. That's better. Batch of books that I found in Oxfam. Remember when I talked about that? If you saw the video, when I talked about Chester Himes, that I was going to look more into him. I just showed a picture that came from the thumbnail I made, because those books were £1.99 each in Oxfam, and they were all together, all this big bunch of Chester Himes books. I couldn't pass that up, and that's awesome. So I'm really looking forward to reading those, and that's a really lovely thing that I could do because I gave myself a time limit rather than reading 100 books. And then the other two things I've bought, again, really exciting, very cheap. Actually, there's three things, because I want to end with the thing that I'm going to get from work tomorrow. I've had an email saying it's arrived, but it arrived after I left for a trip. Anyway, I'll get to that at the end. But these two books are also books I found really cheap on eBay, and when I've looked for them in the past, they haven't been cheap. So again, it's getting that opportunity to act on something that's a rarity. I found that cheap, but I don't normally find it cheap. So this one, Ross Sterling's Twilight Zone, I've seen this before in other forms, and they've been really expensive. So this was really cheap. It was like £8 or something. And it's an omnibus of two different books, and they're like what would you call it? It's not novelizations, but I'm going to use that word because I can't think of the alternative. Novelizations of the episodes of Twilight Zone, the original Twilight Zone. So that was really cool finding that. So I had to get it. Really pleased about that. And then the other thing, again, really cheap. And this is called Love Groucho, and these are letters written by Groucho to Miriam Marks. And that was really cool because it was quite cheap, and I can't wait to read it. And I've still got the receipt in here by the looks of it. Yeah, use it as a bookmark, couldn't you? Yeah, you could use it as a bookmark. £4. That was just £4. It's a hardback. It's in fantastic condition. It's a book about Groucho Marx written by his daughter. That's very rare. £4. And then, last but not least, these are all people I talk about a lot, to be fair. And then there's now the last one, what I'm finishing with, definitely someone I talk about a lot. And that's Charles Addams. I've got a new book that is part of the collection. So something to help with me trying to be a completist of Charles Addams. It's one of his old ones. It's the 445th release that he made. Once I do get the whole collection, I'd like to talk about it more on the channel. But I've already done a couple of videos about Charles Addams. But I've got that one, which came in the post or arrived at work today. So I'm going to pick it up tomorrow. So that's a picture of me picking it up tomorrow. So yeah, I really wanted to see that because, again, I did a little random search Found it really cheap, much cheaper than I normally find it. And actually, there was the same book on eBay for £200, and sometimes they're crazy prices. So, you know, I've been enjoying the fact that these opportunities have come up, and I've taken them up rather than going, oh, I won't get that yet, and then you miss that opportunity to get something cheap that is something you collect. And I've bought some things for the events. So what I'm saying is, it was quite nice to give myself a time limit this time rather than a number of books. And it's also very awesome to buy books. And it's very awesome to be quite reserved and not necessarily buy something like instinctive. Because actually, there's another book I really want to get that I discovered through watching YouTube. And I keep watching this guy who is a converted atheist. So he's someone that had a very religious upbringing, and he now does these videos on atheism. And he talks about this awesome book that sounds really good that I want to get. And I did find it cheap on eBay. And this time I thought, well, I'll wait because maybe that'll come up again cheap. And I've been quite successful recently with getting some good stuff. So I'll leave it for a minute, and I might wait a month or so before I get that, because I don't think I'm going to read that that quickly. But, you know, it's nice that that's in my head as well. I can get that at some point. And if I don't find it cheap, I can put it up on a wish list for my birthday or something, you know, for my family to get it or whatever. But, you know, I'm still looking because, you know, stay curious and all that. So there we go. That's my response video. It's like an alternative message, if you like. You know, we love reading, and MJ's video is awesome. MJ's video is all about sharing the love of restraint, sharing the love of loving the books you own, loving the books you have, loving reading. It's a fantastic video, but I quite like the fact that I put a time limit on it rather than a number, and I've had these lovely purchases since Christmas. And part of the enjoyment is staying curious. Stay curious, everyone. Bye.
Picture of what it's like to be you.